Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to RTV News with me, Fiona Mbabazi. The newly posted South African ambassador believes that representing his country in Rwanda is a significant step in improving the bilateral relations between the countries. Ambassador Mandisi Bongani Mabuto Mphalwa presented his credentials to President Paul Kagame 2 years after his predecessor was recalled by his government. President Kagame also received letters of credence from 2 other new envoys, one from the Kingdom of Sweden and another from Senegal. RwandaTV kicks off tonight's edition with that story.
Ambassador Mandisa Bongani Mabuto Mphalwa, who represented his letters of credence to President Paul Kagame this Friday, replaces his South African counterpart, George Nkosinathi Twala, who was recalled by his government in December 2018. For the last 2 years, South Africa has not had an ambassador posted in Rwanda. The new head of South African mission in Rwanda, Ambassador Mandisi Bongani Mabuto Mphalwa, says his tour of duty seeks to strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries.
This is a matter that we've spoken about with the President. We both recognized that there have been some issues, but we've also both expressed the sentiment that must not stop us from doing the things that we need to do. That must not stop us from working towards normalizing the relationship between South Africa and Rwanda. This is the work that we have to do. I think if my presence in Rwanda is to have meaning, I think it has to be because we are able to work through those issues in a manner that moves us forward. And that is the commitment that I gave to the President. And it is based on what my own President would like to see. And so, as much as I cannot tell you today that tomorrow visa services will be available, but this is the commitment that I'm making, that this is the work that we have to do, and I hope that we'll be able to achieve that in the course of time.
For the first time, Senegal will also have an ambassador to Rwanda, based in Kigali. After presenting his credentials to President Paul Kagame, the Senegalese envoy, Ambassador Doudou Sow, told journalists that his country is proud to have blossoming bilateral relations with Rwanda.
Le Rwanda est un pays respecté partout dans le monde.
Rwanda is a well-respected nation across the world because of its economic, environmental protection and political achievements over the years. Our time has come to cement the relations between Rwanda and Senegal and reinforce the political will of our two heads of state. It is important that we promote people-to-people relations between our friendly countries whose citizens respect each other. And for that, we need to create the bridge that connects them. The relations between our countries has been improving over time, especially since 2017, when Rwanda opened its route to Senegal, and I believe we will make more strides.
C'est déjà un premier pas, et je pense qu'il y aura beaucoup d'autres pas après.
Ambassador Johanna Tag of the Kingdom of Sweden also presented her credentials to President Kagame this Friday. She seeks to further deepen the relations between Rwanda and Senegal, she said.
In development cooperation, we are working in 4 areas. It's democracy, human rights and the rule of law. It's inclusive economic growth, the climate and environment, and research cooperation. But we also see there's a lot of interest both here and also back home in Sweden to strengthen our trade relationship and investment. So one of my priorities is to see how I can support that and take that forward. And of course we also work with the EU. So Sweden as part of the EU and working in the EU family to see how we can have a strategic and strong relationship between Africa and the EU.
The 3 ambassadors who presented their letters of credence to President Paul Kagame this Friday will all be based in Kigali. Reporting for RwandaTV News, RwandaTV.
Now, the 28th Ordinary Policy Organs meeting of Eastern African Standby Force member states concluded this Friday with a renewed commitment to financially support the body so it achieves its mission.
Fighting terrorism, setting up a 5-year vision of the Eastern Africa Standby Force and strengthening the capabilities of the force was among the key discussions that were held in Kigali. Ministers of Defense from the representing countries signed the recommendations from the meeting during the last day of this meeting. Brigadier Faisa Getachew, the ESF director, says the renewing commitment to financially support the body was key in the held discussions.
Now we are at standby force. Any decisions that come, or if mandate given by AU or our policy organ, we are ready to deploy for any peace support operation. They are also agree and renewed their commitment to support to strengthen the ESF financial status. This is a big decision, and they put it in as a key and the top agenda on the discussion, and they agreed on that.
Rwanda's Minister of Defense, Major General Albert Murasira, highlighted that the region is still faced with terrorism, cross-border crimes, human trafficking, among other challenges.
Eastern Africa is also facing numerous threats to development, such as resource-based conflicts, disease, and the devastating and negative impact of climate change, to name but a few, to emerging conflict situations and scenarios. This includes enhancing the early warning systems which may help prevent conflict.
During the just conclusion meeting, the Council of Ministers decided to include a force of Sudan, significantly boosting the regional forces numbers. Rwanda's Brigadier General Vincent Gatama was named the new EASF force commander. The EASF, a regional organization whose mandate is to enhance peace and security in the Eastern Africa region, comprises 10 active member states: Burundi, Comoros, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Seychelles, Somalia, Sudan, and Uganda. Jane Mutoni reporting for RTV.
Thank you, Jen, for that story. Now, after Skol Brewery started producing its own water brand packaged in a glass bottle, the Minister for Environment, Dr. Mujamaria Jeanne d'Arc, has encouraged other manufacturers to stop using plastic bottles as well in order to reduce the plastic pollutions and conserve the environment. Jane Mutoni continues.
Skol Brewery produces both alcohol and soft drinks. The head of Skol, Ivan Wolfert, says they have decided to produce their own water brand that is packaged in glass bottles so as to work hand in hand with the government program to reduce plastic pollution in bid to conserve the environment.
It's already since a long time that I came in Rwanda and that plastic bags are forbidden. But plastic bottled water is in reality the only water that is available here. And when we heard about this law of banning single-use plastics, we thought that we have a pioneering role to bring water in glass bottles. It is an investment for us. We think it's worthwhile to help the government to battle against plastic pollution. So therefore, we think that we have a high-quality product with a very nice packaging that reflects the values of the nature of the Virunga Park.
The Minister of Environment, Dr. Mujamaria Jeanne d'Arc, says now that Skol has proven that water can be produced in glass bottles in Rwanda. Other manufacturers as well need to do the same so as to protect our environment. This comes as a game changer for us when it comes to conserving our environment, as well as consuming clean and pure water packaged in glass bottles. My message to factories that produce water in plastic bottles is that now it has been proven possible for us Rwandans to produce water in glass bottles. Skol's new water plant is worth 450 million Rwandan francs and has the capacity to produce 40,000 bottles of water per hour of 33 milliliters each. After consumption, bottles are to be returned to shops, as it is done with other drinks produced by Skol factory. Jane Mutoni reporting for RTV.
Hi, I'm Vasti Jackson from Mississippi, USA, your guest anchor tonight. 10 years ago, a fruit seller in Tunisia set himself on fire in a desperate and fatal act of protest. Mohamed Bouazizi's actions tapped into frustration and fury at home and across the region, leading to what became known as the Arab Spring. Tunisia managed to transition into democracy, but many say things have become worse.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, that is Vasti Jackson, a multi-US Grammy-nominated singer, guitarist. Thank you very much for making time to be with us, Vasti.
Thank you for having me.
So what brings you to Rwanda, and what has been your experience since you stepped to Africa?
Well, I came to Rwanda via invitation from Africa in Colors, Mr. Raoul Rugamba, and it's been just absolutely wonderful to be here and to discover the culture and the music and actually realize that there are so many things that we have in common in Mississippi with Rwandan culture and music, of course.
In terms of food as well?
Oh, yeah, of course, in terms of food. I love the beans, I love the chicken and the greens. And we say okra, but I think they call it gumbo here.
Gumbo.
Yeah, I love it.
What inspires your music?
Well, family. Absolutely. I come from a family of musicians from generations back. And I think, one of the most common threads for us as people is rhythm. And, of course, that starts with the rhythm of life, our heartbeat. And Africa being the cradle of civilization, that connection is just so strong there. So life inspires my music.
Life inspires your music. So we have several questions from social media. We have one from Sandrine. She says, in his exploration of traditional contemporary music in Rwanda, what has he learned so far? And how many artists have you met? And maybe is there collaboration there?
Well, yes, definitely collaborations. Once again, what I've learned is that the music is so similar to the traditional music of Mississippi. And one of the first things is melody. You know, this common melody is very common in Mississippi when we do what we call the blues. And so that, so that sound is, I find it in traditional Rwandan music and traditional Mississippi blues. And I've met, yes, great musicians here. Some traditional musicians. I've seen the traditional dance, and we're looking forward to reconnecting with some of those musicians. Israel, we have Yvonne, yes, and so we're just excited about the developments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your long-term project in the country?
Long term is to start with collaboration and then to expose more of the world to Rwandan music and culture. Outside of the continent, I would think that most people know about Rwanda in terms of the movie Hotel Rwanda, as we say in America, Rwanda. But there's so many wonderful things about the culture here and the people. So we want to share that, and we want to mix things up with the language, of course, Kinyarwanda, and English, and maybe even some other languages. We want to mix things up with contemporary sounds of America. Once again, Africa is the root, and all other popular music is the fruit of the African sound. And Rwanda plays a great role in that. And we just want the rest of the world to know about the culture and the wonderful young artists that are here in the country.
Flora Ketesi on Twitter, of course, she said, please ask him to sing us one song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one thing about the culture and music, we improvise to survive.
Yes.
So let's just see what the ancestors tell us to
Absolutely.
do. Yeah? I'm a Mississippi boy. Lord, I'm a long way from home. Said I'm a Mississippi boy. I'm a long, long way from home. Well, I'm here in Kigali. Ooh, I believe this is where I belong. Well, the people so nice. They just as sweet as they can be. The people so nice. They just as sweet as they can be. Oh, Rwanda is the place I gotta be. I'm gonna play my guitar a little bit, y'all. Rwanda is the place I gotta be. Thank you for welcoming me.
Wow. Awesome. So what are some of the aspects of blues? When you think about blues, the genre of music.
Well, triumph. Some people talk about the blues being woe, and there are components of that, of pain, agony, and suffering. But the main thing, what the blues shows, is Africans' ability to conquer, to not only survive, but thrive. So when we look at that from the standpoint of, let's say, colonization, transatlantic slave trade into South America and the Caribbean and North America, we like to say same boat, different port.
Yeah.
Because the essence of Africa in all of that culture, the way we dance, the way we cook, our rhythm, our melodies. So it's a music of triumph, of perseverance, of strength. Now, when we talk about it from an academic sense, relative to education, there are very, very strict components. The first one being the rhythm of the heart. And if we were talking about that academically, that would be the first and the third note of the triplet.
Yeah.
You see. So that's why people like the feel of the blues, and they get sort of drawn into the groove without actually consciously analyzing it, because it's tied to the rhythm of life, and that's your heartbeat. That's the first thing. So that's the similarity that runs through rock and roll, jazz, gospel, bebop, hip-hop. Yeah, so those are some of the most fundamentals. And then, of course, it's the melody. And that's that thing that we hear in all traditional Rwandan music. Yes,
absolutely. There's an argument, that rhythm and blues started in Africa. I'm sure the genre started in America, but the rhythm and blues, the melody behind it is African.
The root of that is Africa. There's no doubt about it. And when we talk about genres of music per se, if we say hip-hop or we say soul music, you hear elements of Africa in that music. And there are contemporary songs that we don't necessarily call blues, but they are blues in concept, whether it be Purple Rain, for example, is a blues song, but we don't think about it.
We don't think about it,
So the root of all American music is Africa, no doubt about it. And so not such a debate about that, because we can actually look at the years where things begin to be chronicled as genres and types and styles of music. Of course, blues in itself, we're speaking English. So, yeah.
So before I let you go, there's one question, of course, from Shema Agape on Twitter. Shema asked, what advice would you give to young musicians who are trying their way out?
Well, remember that the art of music has its own reward, and that's not money. art is a beautiful gift from God, and it should serve all humanity. And the creative side of our person, of our being, resides in the left side of our brain. But we also must learn the business of music. We must learn about commerce, and we must learn about intellectual properties and things of that nature, which is the right side of the brain. So we must keep the artistic area to the left, the business area, commerce to the right. Let them complement each other, but don't let them overlap and distort each other. Whether you make no money or a lot of money, do not let that affect the quality of your art. But please learn that if you're going to progress economically, you need to learn the business, and that is not the art. And if you're going to progress artistically, when you're doing that, free your mind from the business. So let's say dedicate time to art, dedicate time to business, and let them both complement each other.
The issue of copyright, or issue of copying types of melody. For example, you playing your type of music, blues, today. Tomorrow you hear someone else has almost the same melody, as you. How should people act on this?
Well, it's not so much an issue if it's not an exact thing for more than 4 musical bars, regardless of the time signature. If the melody is exactly the same for 4 bars, then it's an issue. But, in the diatonic Western music system, we only have 12 note names. You see? So there's nothing new under the sun. So we're going to hear a lot of things that are similar, and that's not a problem. So when you say, oh, that sounds like this, okay, we're human. We walk on 2 legs. We laugh, require, and so when we put those types of things in songs, it's not that we are imitating other people, we are just expressing life. But if it is exact for more than 4 measures, then you may question it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I let you go, maybe you'll give us a taste of music, maybe Purple Rain a bit?
Wow. Okay, well, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I'm in interesting key here. So let's do a little something like this. Yep. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we see, No, don't you be afraid. No, don't you be afraid. You know that I will stand by you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Valstai Jackson, for making time to be with us.
Yes.
And of course, as usual, my name is Fiona Mbabazi. Do remember that you play a very important role in flattening the COVID-19 pandemic. So play your role right. Have yourselves a lovely evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend.